Hey guys, welcome back to the video by Biology with Zhang. So today we are going to do the paper 2 multiple choice extended paper 0610/22 May-June 2023. So this multiple choice question paper is my paper that I've done for my IGCSE exams in June 2023, and today we are going to discuss the answers. So the paper will be down in the description below, so make sure you check it out. So let's go on to the first question. Question 1. Which process occurs both in plants and in animals? Answer is A. So because excretion is part of Mrs. Grant and phagocytosis is not, photosynthesis is not, and transpiration is also not a process. Question 2. Some statements about a given species are some statements about species are given. Okay. 1. Members of a species all look identical. 2. Members of a species belong to the same genus. 3. Members of a species can produce fertile offspring. And 4. Species are named using an international system. So which statements are correct? The answer is D. Okay. Why 1 is not acceptable? Because species, right, it could be anything, so different species with the same genus will look different. Okay, so there's some sort of genetic variation between them. That's why a species are not looking identical. Okay. Question 3. Which structures are found in the cells of all living organisms? So it's including animals and plants at the same time. So cell membrane, yes, and cytoplasm. Chloroplast is only for plant cell. The answer is C. Okay, question 4. In the diagram of the palisade cell, the distance between X and Y is 20 millimeters. The actual width of the cell is between X and Y is 40 micrometers. What is the magnification of the diagram? So you must use the formula, which is I M. So we are given with 20 millimeters, so we have to convert this into micrometers, which is 20 times 20 times 1000 would be 20,000, and divided by 40 you will get 500. So 20 mm is equal to 20,000, my bad, micrometers, and then you have to divide it 20,000 divided by 40, you get 500. So the answer is B. Okay, next one. Question 5. The diagram shows a root hair cell. When does the water enter the cell by osmosis? So you can see that when the concentration of solutions outside cell is greater than inside the cell, nope. When the concentration of solutes inside and outside the cells are equal, nope, they are not, because it has to go out and this is osmosis is only about water potential. When the water potential inside the cell is higher than outside the cell, no, it's not. Outside, when there's water outside, there's more water, only it can go in, because osmosis is the process of a higher water potential to a lower water potential. So the answer is D. Okay. Question 6. Which row shows the changes that occur during the germination of a seed? So they are asking about what happens with the respiration rate and the amount of energy required and how ions are absorbed. So the answer for this one would be C. Why? Because when the respiration rate is increased, the amount of energy required for the plant is lesser, because the respiration has already released sufficient energy. And how ions are absorbed during germination is through diffusion. Okay, so because it's a seed, right, they do not have any root hair cells at that moment, so they cannot actively transport, they have to diffuse in. Okay, that's how the answer is C. Question 7. The diagram shows the human alimentary canal, in which structure is most glucose absorbed by the blood. So they say most glucose. The answer is B, which is answer is C. the small intestine, because maltase digestion happens in the small intestine and they are absorbed into it by the villus. Question A. DNA contains pairs of bases. Which pair shows the correct combination of bases? So it's A, T, and CG. So the answer would be B. Okay. Question 9. In which region of the alimentary canal is maltose digested? So the answer would be C. Okay, small intestine. Okay, question 10. The graph shows the effect of temperature on enzyme activity. The enzyme has an optimum temperature of 30 degrees. Which graph shows the effect of temperature on the activity of this enzyme? So since it's a temperature affecting enzyme graph, it would be D, where it goes up and reaches the optimum temperature and eventually denatures at that temperature. Okay. Question 11. The diagram shows a leaf on the plant used a photosynthesis experiment. At the start of the experiment, there is no starch in the leaf. A piece of black paper is attached to the upper surface of the leaf. The plant is placed in bright light for 12 hours. 4 discs are then cut from the leaf in the position shown on the diagram. The discs are tested for starch. Which disc contains starch? So from this diagram, it's quite familiar from past year paper. So you must see that which part has the green area, then there will be starch. So since B is on the white area, there will be no starch happening. And for this C, it's been covered by a kind of like a strip. So C is not accepted, and neither D, since it's part of the white area. So the answer is A. Okay. Question 12. The graph shows the effect of temperature on the rate of photosynthesis. So which statement explains the change in rate of photosynthesis between 15 degrees and 20 degrees? So they're talking about during this period. So it's about here to here. So what happens here is that there is an increase in the temperature and the increased rate of photosynthesis. So when there's an increase in temperature, the kinetic energy of molecules will increase in the same time, therefore making effective collisions. So the reason A cannot is that chlorophyll is able to transfer more energy. It's not chlorophyll that's able to transfer more energy, you know. So it's more of the glucose is able to transfer more energy. And enzymes involved in photosynthesis have denatured. Note, it's not even 40 degrees. So that's why A and B is out. And D, light intensity and not temperature, is limiting the rate of photosynthesis. No, that doesn't even make sense in here. They're just saying about temperature. Temperature is the one changing the rate of photosynthesis. So D is out of it also. Okay, question 13. The lack of which component of a balanced diet will lead to a development of scurvy? So scurvy is from vitamin C. Okay, question 14. Which structure is the duodenum? Duodenum is in the small intestine, therefore it's C. Okay, it's close to the small intestine. Question 15. Humidity and wind speed are two factors that affect the rate of transpiration. How do these two factors affect the concentration gradient of water molecules between the inside of the leaf and the outside atmosphere? So we know that this is when there's high humidity, there is lower rate of transpiration, and the high wind speed is increasing rate of transpiration. So the answer for this is A. And why is it A? Is that when there's low humidity, osmosis will go from a higher to a lower concentration gradient, and when there's high wind speed, it will move faster, so it go from a lower water potential to a lower concentration gradient to a higher concentration gradient. Okay. Alright, next question. Question 16. During an investigation into the movement of substance of plant, a ring of tissue containing the outer part of the transport tissue is removed, as shown. Okay, which statement explains why a swelling develops in the stem? So the answer for this one is A. Phloem has been removed, causing a build-up of sucrose and amino acids. Okay, why is it A? It's because the sucrose is coming from the glucose that has been converted so that it goes down to the sink. So since the xylem only goes one-way direction up, therefore xylem will be both cannot. and C will also be out. Xylem does not transport sucrose and amino acid. It only transport water and mineral ions. However, xylem is going up. So therefore, it should be swelling here, not here. Okay, so therefore, D is out, and B is definitely doesn't make sense because phloem does not transport water and mineral ions. So the answer is A. Okay, question 17. The diagram shows the human heart. Which label shows the left ventricle? So the answer for this is B. Okay. Alright, remember that here this is the left and this is the right. I think that's just the main confusion that most people will get. Okay, question 18. Which row shows the feature of an artery or a vein? So the answer for question 18 is C. Okay, let's see why it's C. A is wrong because the diameter of the lumen in artery is small and the thickness of wall is thick. So this one here is the one that has gone wrong. And blood vessel artery, it has a small lumen and not thin, it should be thick. So here is the mistake. And for D, it's vein, it should have a large lumen and a thin wall. So this is wrong. So the answer is C. Okay, question 19. Cholera bacteria in the gut causes secretion of chloride ions which leads to diarrhea. Which diagram shows the correct movement of chloride ions and water? Okay, this question actually, I'm quite disappointed in myself because I think I picked C for this answer. But now I know why it's B. Because during the process of chloride ions, right, the chloride ions are secreted into the small intestine. Then it moves into the gut where it lowers the water potential. So it goes from a higher to a low water potential, you know. So chloride ions will keep going up, affecting the stomach. When this happens, this causes diarrhea because there's a lack of water. There's too much water and it has to be egested through by diarrhea. Okay, so the answer is B. Question 20. Different stages in the process of expiration are listed. Okay, they say one ribcage movement moves downwards and inwards, and the volume of thorax decreases and pressure in lungs increases. Air is pushed out of the lungs and diaphragm and the external intercostal muscle relax. So they want the process of expiration. So the answer is D. Why? You must make sure you must say that the diaphragm is the first one to move, to relax or contract, then only you move to the rib cage, and then only you begin talking about the volume of the thorax, and only air is being pushed up lastly. Okay, it's always this kind of pattern. Alright, question 21. Which row shows aerobic respiration? So the substrates are basically the reactants in just its synonym of itself. So it will be glucose and oxygen. So glucose and oxygen, that's the only answer. So the answer is donkey. Okay, question 22. In which organ is lactic acid respired aerobically to remove an oxygen debt? So it will be C. Lactic acid is always broken down in the liver. Okay, question 23. The diagram shows a cross section of a kidney. What are the correct names for structure P, Q, and R? So P is the ureter, not the urethra. Urethra is inside the penis. And Q is the medulla. And R is the cortex. So the answer for this question will be B. Okay. Question 24. Which statement describes what happens during the transmission of an electric impulse along a reflex arc? So the answer for this question is A. The relay neuron has receptors protein which binds the neurotransmitter molecules. That's correct. Okay, so the receptor proteins in the relay neuron accepts the neurotransmitter molecules being transported through the synaptic cleft. But B is wrong, is because the relay neuron does not have vesicles. They only have receptor proteins. And the sensory neuron causes receptor proteins to release. No, it should be the vesicles. C is wrong. Okay, and then D, the sensory neurons impulse cause vesicles to release receptor protein molecules. That's wrong. It should be neurotransmitters. Alright, question 25. During the pupil reflex in bright light, what describes the action of the muscles in the iris? So this is pretty much pupil reflex in this topic. So the answer for this question will be A. The circular muscles of the iris will contract and the radial muscles are relaxed. Okay. Question 26. Which distribution of auxin will cause the shoot tip to grow towards the light? So the answer for this question would be D, because the direction of light is there. So the answer will be D. Okay, question 27. What is an advantage of a sexual reproduction in a wild population? This is an advantage here. So A is wrong because it doesn't have reducibility. And then it has a disadvantage actually. B is correct, which is the answer. And C, the population shows a lot of variation. Nope, it's all genetically identical. And D, the whole population will be killed by a disease pathogen. Yes, it will, but in one's advantage, not a disadvantage. So therefore, A, C, D is wrong. Question 28. The diagram shows the structure part of a flower. The arrow represents the transfer of pollen. Which statement shows the arrow is correct? So this flower is an insect pollinated flower, and this is self-pollination because there's only one flower here. So the answer is C. Okay. Question 29. In a sperm cell, which structure contains enzyme that can digest the jelly coat of an egg cell? So this is about the sperm, which is the acrosome. The acrosome contains digestive enzyme, which is when you draw it out, it's this one, that it has the acrosome being located here, the way they release the digestive enzymes. Okay, question 30. The following are involved in protein synthesis again, and in which order do they become involved when proteins are made? So first thing is about the DNA in the nucleus, then the mRNA moves to the cytoplasm, then passes through the ribosome, then the amino acids are assembled according to order. So the answer is C. Okay, question 31. A man of a genotype IAIO and a woman of genotype IBIO have a child. What is the chance that the child will have the same blood group as one of its parents? Okay, first thing, whenever you see this kind of question, start with the Punnett square. So this is a technically co-dominance. So IAIO and IBIO. So if you match it, you get IAIB, IOIB. So it's IBIO and IAIO, and this is IOIO. So you must see that there's the parents have IAIO and IBIO. You can see that there's IAIO and IABO. So here, therefore it's C. 1 in a 2 chance it will have the same blood group as their parents. Okay, question 32. A man who has a red-green color blindness has a child with a woman who does not have red-green color blindness. The child has a red-green color blindness and the man and the woman decided to have another child. What is the percentage probability that their next children will have red-green color blindness? So they say that the man has red-green color blindness and has a child with a woman who does not have a red-green color blindness. So let's just make it as like okay, a man which has X R Y, and this is X. I'm so sorry, give me a second. And sorry, this should be a small y and this should be a big R. So when you match it, it's kind of X R, X R, X big R, X small r, X big R Y, and X big R Y. So the chance of getting this is 50%. Okay, so the answer is C. Okay, question 33. Which type of variation can be inherited? So it has to be caused by genes only. So the answer is B. Okay, question 34. Which feature is a leaf adaptation for living in a hot, dry desert? So it needs to be hairy. Okay. Alright, question 35. Which term is used to describe an organism that makes its own organic nutrients? With this is basically producer, because producers make their own food which is organic naturally. Okay. Question 36. The diagram shows a pyramid based on food chains in which the producer is a large tree. What do the two pyramids represent. So remember that the pyramid of biomass is always a triangle form, but a pyramid of numbers is not always a triangle form. So the answer would be B. Okay. Question 37. What is a negative impact on the environment that is caused by deforestation? So negative impact is that there will be increase in flooding. Okay. Question 38. Okay, this is a past year paper question from 2016, if I'm not mistaken. So the diagram shows the position of 4 farms and the concentration of nitrate at different points in a river. Which farm is likely to have been using too much fertilizer on its land? So you can see that suddenly, right, from C, there is a spike, meaning at farm C, they only started to detect it, and farm A is just here. So it gotta be between this part. So they say which farm has likely been using too much fertilizers on its land? So the answer is A. Just very straightforward. Okay, question 39. The diagram shows a bacterial cell containing a plasmid. What is inserted into a plasmid if the cell is used for the production of insulin? So the answer for this one will be a length of a DNA from a human, so that you can make a recombinant. Okay, last question. Question 40. Yeast carries out anaerobic respiration, making carbon dioxide and ethanol as end products. Which end products can be used to make biofuel and bread? So biofuel will produce ethanol and bread will produce carbon dioxide. So the answer is C. Okay, so that's all for this paper. If I were to look back on my thoughts, I think I made a few mistakes, but overall I think I have learned what I've done wrong in this paper. So everything is like learning to me. So I still get wrong, but most importantly is that you improve and get better at doing all of this. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video and hope you like it. So if you have any questions, please do drop a comment in the comment box, and hope to see you guys in the video. Bye bye.